Welcome, everyone, to SI Media with Jimmy Traina. Thank you for listening. Bonus episode. We have WWE Superstar Seth Rollins on the podcast. Great interview with the WWE World Heavyweight Champion. Seth caused a big stir at the Survivor Series when CM Punk returned, and Seth got heated, to say the least. So he gives us as much information as he can on that entire evening when he found out Punk was going to be back, what his issues are with CM Punk, and a bunch of other stuff with Seth Rollins from the WWE. We did post a media pod earlier this week. We had Booger McFarland from ESPN on the podcast, so if you missed that, check it out. Mike Tirico was on the podcast last week. Ian Eagle was on recently as well. So if you missed any of those episodes, go into the archives and check them out. Also, make sure you subscribe to SI Media with Jimmy Traina and leave a review on Apple. All right. Let's get to this bonus episode with WWE Superstar Seth Rollins right here, right now on SI Media with Jimmy Traina. All right, joining me now. Always love having him on. He's become an SI Media podcast regular, and he's smiling even though the Bears are 4-8. He is WWE Superstar World Heavyweight Champion Seth freaking Rollins. Seth, thanks for doing this.
What's up, man? What's up? Hey, the Bears are about to turn it around, man. We're about to turn it around. 4-8. We're already a win ahead of last season. Things are looking good. Defense playing well. We just got to finish a game. That's all.
They've won 2 out of the last 3, so you can. This is a hot streak for the Bears.
Right, we're 4-4 in our last 8, man. We're trending upwards. All right, we're trending upwards.
I want to get into the Bears and some NFL stuff, but everyone who's tuning in right now, they're waiting for me to ask you about CM Punk. Like, this is it. Like this, it's like, do we, And I'm like, I like Seth. He's always been good to me. Do we want, a lot of, the trick is you try to butter the guest up, and then you get into that stuff. I have too much respect for you to butter you up. So I'm going to go right. We'll get it right out of the way, right off the top. First things first. When did you find out he was going to be back in the WWE?
When I heard his music, on Saturday 2 weeks ago, whatever it was at Survivor Series, when I heard his music.
Does it, as a WWE superstar, in character, out of character, either way, does it annoy you you're not given a heads up?
Yes. Upon reflection, it's easy to understand why something like that would be kept as close to the vest as possible. So I understand why, very few people knew what was going on that day. But in the moment, I was extremely emotional. We'll just put it that way. In the moment, after everything we'd been through and everything the company had been through with that particular person as well. And then the night itself, the match, Randy's return, all of it. It was a very emotional moment for me. Obviously, if you have any amount of social media, you kind of saw how I reacted in the moment, and it was a very raw, real, emotional response for me. Did I go too far? Maybe, but it was what it was. I can't take it back.
So I write a column every single day for SI.com, and 99.9% of the time on Mondays, I always write about something that happened in the NFL. And that Monday, I had to put the NFL aside and write about you, because I wrote that you made CM Punk's return with your reaction that got caught on social media. And I've interviewed WWE guys on here for so many years. I try to be as respectful as possible, and I would never, ever ask anyone who comes on, real or fake. I know that's an insulting question. And I don't even want to ask work or shoot, because I feel like I sound like a douchebag asking you this. But I have to ask, was your reaction a work or a shoot?
Like I said, it was an extremely emotional moment for me. Everyone knows how I feel about CM Punk. I've not made it any more transparent over the past few years. Nothing has changed in that regard. And in that moment, I was extremely emotional, and you got a lot of a real raw emotion from me. And I don't usually get that worked up about much, but you caught me off guard. and there was a lot of real emotion there. So that's probably about as much as I can say on that without going too far.
You said a lot of bad words. A lot
I
of bad
did, I
words.
did, and I regret that part of it because I do take my responsibility as a role model for our younger audience pretty seriously, and so that part of it I do have regrets over. I wish I would have handled myself with a little bit more composure. But like I said, I can't take it back. I can apologize to our younger audience and their families if I offended anybody, but. It was what it was, a moment in time.
I would be willing to bet most of those families have dropped the F word in their house at some point. So don't worry about it too much. I'm just going to push this here with a couple more and then we can move on. Because I'm just curious. You said you didn't know till his music hit that he was back. But obviously there were rumblings.
Of course there's rumblings.
Were you completely shocked, or it was more like, okay, this is the reality now. I can't believe they're letting this guy back in?
Yeah, the latter. I think, in this industry, I've been with WWE for over 10 years now. So like kind of nothing surprises me anymore, fully. And so I heard rumblings. Obviously, it was something they wanted to keep pretty close to vest for obvious reasons. And look, surprises are great in our industry and in this age of social media where everything is spoiled. It's nice to have surprises. That wasn't a very nice surprise for me, but it was for a lot of people out there who were fans of that guy for whatever reason. And so yeah, it was mostly just like oh man, this is it. This is what we have to deal with now. This is our future moving forward. How do we navigate this? So it was kind of just an emotional reaction to that, compounded with the adrenaline of what we just experienced inside the double cage and war games.
I'd love to know. I don't know if you want to share this, but I'd love to know what happened as soon as you got backstage.
Well, my wife was there, and I had a few people to kind of corral me, I suppose.
Is it easy to corral Seth freaking Rollins though when he's in that state?
Not terribly, but I will say, my wife's pretty good at understanding my temperament and knowing how to make sure that I'm level when I need to be. So kudos to her. She made sure I didn't get in any more trouble. But yeah, there were enough people there who knew that I would be upset in the moment and to take care of me and make sure that it didn't get too chaotic.
Did you see Punk backstage after that?
No, I lost him. I waited for a while, and he was, I'm sure he was somewhere doing interviews or doing whatever, but I didn't see him.
All right, so last thing on this. So if someone's listening and they maybe are not completely familiar with everything going on, tell me why you have such issues with him.
I mean, a lot of it's personal. A lot of it's stuff that I don't really want to get into. But for the most part, I just think he's been really selfish when it comes to his perspective on the industry. I think he's been extremely self-serving, has played the martyr role to a T, and has, for someone who, when I met the guy, and look, I got a lot of good things to say about parts of my relationship with him. He helped me in places when he didn't have to, whether that was for his own good or not, I'm not entirely sure. But regardless, it helped me get where I needed to go and do the things I needed to do. And for a guy who, when I met him, kind of made it seem like he was all about giving back to the business, he really turned into a pretty selfish guy and really wanted to take more from the industry. And look, he said some really bad things about me, talked down about me for years and the company for years, and said some, I'm talking some really bad stuff, called me like a bootlicker and crap like that. And like, you don't know me, you don't know me. You don't know what I stand for. I'm a loyal person. And I felt pretty insulted by a lot of the ways he treated me, treated the place that I worked for, treated friends that I worked with. I don't need to get into any of the stuff with Colt Cabana. If you want to go and look at, that kind of stuff, that's out there. But yeah, I mean, just the way he treated people, the way I felt like he was only looking out for himself, and then the way he talked down about me and my friends and the people who were here putting the hard work in WWE, trying to make this thing as good as we possibly could because we love the industry. We truly love it. Not just what it can do for us, but we actually love it, want to give back to it, and want to make it the best it can possibly be. And I always just felt like he was a fraud in that sense, or at least turned into one at some point in the last decade. And so, yeah, that's the long of it. It's a deep rooted. I wouldn't call it a hatred, but a certain animosity. Yeah. There's animosity there, no doubt about it.
So when that's the case, if you have to then work with him and, there's all these rumors about that's the WrestleMania match, who knows, it's so far down the road, but if it's personal, does that make your job I mean, you're going to be a professional no matter what, but does it make it, listen, no matter what, you have one of the most crazy jobs in the world as a WWE superstar. I'm a podcast host, but no matter what your job is, there are days when you go to work and you're like, I don't want to do this shit today. Does that, with when you're working with someone you don't like, does that come into play?
Of course. And if you're working with them on, essentially an intimate level, it's the two of you trying to put a story together or a match together or whatever it may be. You're working with them. It's not like you can just go out there and wing it. I mean, you could, but that's not going to go too well, most likely. But you have to work with somebody. You have to figure it out. And sometimes it's like pulling teeth. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. Luckily, we haven't had to do that yet. I assume it's only a matter of time, whatever venue it's at. I don't know. That's not my decision to make. I just show up and do the work. But it is what it is. Like you said, you don't like everybody you work with. I certainly haven't liked everybody I've been in the ring with over the years, but I've always found a way to make magic out of it. And so if it is Seth Rollins versus CM Punk somewhere down the road, one way or another, it's going to be magic.
In general, not specific to Punk, but in general, you've been with the company for so long and you're one of the top superstars. You have a lot of pull. Do you have the ability to say, I don't want to work with this guy, or, can we do something else? Or do you have to, whatever they come to you with, you have to do it? Or how much input or feedback you allowed to give?
I mean, it's a negotiation, for sure. It's a conversation. It's not like no one's forcing something on you, but I am a businessman for sure. I'm open to do business if it's there to be done. And shoot, man, I'm open to mending fences if that's even possible. I know that might sound crazy, but I'm open to it because I'm 38 now, almost 38, and like I ain't got time, you know what I mean? I ain't got time to hold all these grudges. So I think it's a lot of energy to hold that negativity in, and I'd like to put that energy somewhere else and make it positive. So I'm open to all different facets of what this could be. But yeah, there's certainly conversations that go on. It's not like a cut and dry, you have to do this. Now, sometimes it is. I've been in positions where it's like, this is your job. I pay you the check. This is what I want you to do. And that's just how it is. And that's okay too. If you don't like it, you can skip, and we don't have to do business. But I'm pretty open-minded when it comes to stuff like that. So I think there will be a way to make it work for everybody. And like I said, man, he says he's the best in the world. It ain't the case. I'm the best in the world. I'll make anything work. Don't matter who it is.
So you want to talk about the Bears now? I grilled you enough on Saturday.
Oh man, yeah, we can talk about Chicago. A little more lighthearted.
I'll this isn't about Punk, but what I do think is interesting is I feel like we're in this. It's a weird's not the right word. I'll use weird because I can't think of the right word right now. But it's a little bit of I feel like the thing in WWE right now is who's gonna be the one to take down Roman. Who's ending the streak? Who's stopping the streak? And, for a little while, people thought it was Cody. A lot of people thought it was you. A lot of people, there's rumors about The Rock. Now, CM Punk is back. Randy Orton's back. Is that a thing in the locker room with you guys, or is it an unspoken thing and it's just the fans who are paying attention to that? Because it does feel like it's a lot of who's going to have the 1, 2, 3 against Roman eventually when the time comes.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, as of late, because he's been so absent, I don't even really think it's been a topic of conversation amongst fans, let alone the locker room. I think it's one of those things where it's an opportunity, but it's such a glass ceiling opportunity. Like it feels like almost it's one of those things where it may never happen. Like what's the point in wasting your time over there? Because the glass ceiling is so obvious and so thick, which is nice on my end with the World Heavyweight Championship. I feel like there's much more of a real conversation to be had about who's the guy that's going to be able to dethrone me, if that's ever the case, because I'm available, I'm around, I'm visible, and I put myself out there. I take risks that Roman isn't really taking at the moment. So, yeah, I don't know, man. I think obviously when he shows back up, whenever that may be, I think he's got some SmackDowns coming up here in the next month. Maybe that'll start to reignite that conversation, especially as we move into WrestleMania season, which, we can assume he'll be at that show. It's safe to assume that one. I think at this point, but yeah, I think once he starts showing back up a little bit more, that conversation might reignite a little bit. But honestly, I think that's more of a fan base thing. It's an audience thing. Just like a kind of whodunit. Who's gonna do it type thing. And so, but from the locker room perspective, I think it's just one of those things where like Roman's off on his own world, doing his own thing. If you take a little rowboat out to the island of relevancy at some point, you check the weather out and you leave. So it's for us, it's really not as big of a thing. It doesn't seem like it's as prominent anyway.
All right. Hopefully his comments get back to him. I may have done this with you before, but I'm always fascinated by the schedule you guys keep. I ask everyone about this. You're on Raw, obviously Monday Night Raw, World Heavyweight Champion. If you can just give me quick, like your Monday through Sunday, like where, like obviously Monday is Raw, like when you leave for it, when you're home, when you're doing the house shows. I'm just curious what the week is like for you.
Yeah. So, I mean, Monday's Raw. So whatever, if you want to start there, my week really starts on Friday night usually for me.
Okay.
So I'm just going to start with you there because that's how I like measure.
Yeah.
I used to fly out on Saturday morning, so live events would be on Saturday. But because Becky and I are both doing live events and we're traveling with our daughter, we're not doing 6 a.m. flights anymore. So we'll actually fly out the night before for our first live event. So like we'll fly out on a Friday night to wherever we're going. We'll meet the bus at the airport. Fortunate enough to be able to have a bus. We get on there, we sleep, we wake up on Saturday, go get some coffee, take the kid to a museum, something like that. And then we'll do the show. After that, we'll take the bus to the next town. And basically Saturday we'll repeat Sunday unless there's a Bears game in there. And then I'll be locked to my TV, watching that, crying. And then go out and have the show on Sunday night. And then Sunday we'll drive to wherever town Monday Night Raw is in. We will wake up, usually work out on Monday mornings, and then do the show Monday, essentially all day. I mean, if it's an East Coast show, you're looking at like a 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock ish arrival time, and you're there until 11, 12 p.m. whenever, if you're on last. And then Tuesday morning, we'll fly out back home, wherever we're going, depending on if we're going to Los Angeles for whatever, which is where I'm at now, or we're in Iowa. And then we'll work out for a few days and hang out. Becky's got lots of meetings out here in Los Angeles, which is why we're out here now. Obviously I'm talking to you. I had some media to do yesterday for Men's Journal. So little bits and bobs throughout the week. Like tomorrow is really, tomorrow I travel as well at this point. So yeah, it just depends, man. But yeah, most of the week is filled up with something WWE related.
Yeah. The travel is just amazing. It really is.
It's wild. It's a wild experience. It's crazy. We've gotten so used to it. I've got like all my, United, American, Delta, all my mileages are stacked up.
Yeah. Do you have the Sunday ticket on YouTube for the Bears?
Yes, sir. Of course.
Do you believe how good it is? Like it's worked like a charm this year. No glitches.
Oh my God. Yeah. I'm not going to dog on DirecTV too much, but man,
Right.
YouTube TV. Wow. Wow.
Exactly.
Just exactly how you imagined it to be. It's the dream. It really is. It's been so smooth. No problems.
Yep.
Kudos to YouTube and YouTube TV for putting that thing together. It's been fantastic.
And what's great for someone like you who's moving so much is you could log in anywhere. Like like with DirecTV, I think they made it a little harder to like where you're logging in or how many you can, how many if you want to watch other games, like you can pop that anywhere. You got a phone or an iPad, you're good to go.
Yeah, I mean it's amazing. You got a phone, you got an iPad. I can go seamlessly from the TVs on the bus to the phone to wherever to figure it out. And if the Wi-Fi is not working somewhere, you can use your file. Like it's flawless. It's really an incredible human achievement that we're able to watch every single football game every Sunday streaming. It's unreal. We should be proud of ourselves for that.
So on a Sunday, if you don't have WWE stuff, are you watching all the games or you just watch the Bears?
No, I only watch the Bears game and then I'll watch the Red Zone. That's it. I'm not like got like 12 different TVs or like split screens or anything like that. I watch Chicago for 3 hours and then I'll pop Red Zone on for the afternoon games or vice versa. Chicago doesn't do too many afternoon games, but I'll Red Zone and then I'll watch the Sunday night game as much as I can. Usually we have a show. I don't think there's been a Sunday this entire year when I haven't had a show, maybe like one. So
I just realized I didn't think of this, and it just hit me when you were speaking that the Bears played on a Monday night against the Vikings a few weeks ago. So what's that like for you when you're at Raw and the Bears are playing? What are you doing backstage?
That one was tough, actually. That was the night or the Monday after Survivor Series, I believe. So I was kept to myself. I was maintaining my distance
for more than one reason.
Yeah, I didn't have a ton to do that day on the show. I had a segment with Drew McIntyre where I got headbutted in the face pretty snugly. But other than that, I was trying to watch Bears. So I usually have the Bears. I have the game on my phone, just kind of like walking around with it, like halfway having conversations with people. Once I get what I need to do in the zone, I'm also trying to focus on if Chicago can score an actual touchdown or if they're just going to get field goals off these turnovers.
They are 4-8, so they're not going to have like the first or second pick. But if there was a scenario where they can draft a quarterback, like if Caleb Williams fell a couple of spots, or would you want them to draft a quarterback, or you're in on Fields?
Well, we have Carolina's pick, so we're.
Oh, that's right. Right. I knew that. Right.
No, I'm a Fields guy. I think Fields is great. I think he's awesome. And I think we can win football games with him. Like I really, really do. When the team plays well and we coach well and we call plays to finish games, I think we can win. The start to the season was super rocky. You had defensive coordinator issues. We were getting blown out by Green Bay and then Kansas City in there somewhere. It was not good, but really starting to pick things up about 4 weeks into the season, which not ideal, but I do think he can be the cat. And I think we added some good pieces on defense. Sweat is making a huge difference on the line, allowing us to get pressure with 4, which really allows our secondary and the linebackers to play how I think Eberflus wants them to be able to play, a little more free. And we're making tackles, which I know sounds like a silly thing, but you got to make tackles. And when you make tackles, you're not giving up these huge gains, and it allows your defense to play the way you want to. So I think it can be done. I think Fields is going to be the guy. I hope so. And I just don't want to see another change. Like, I feel like if you're going to go in a new direction with a new quarterback, if it's going to be Caleb Williams, Drake May, Penix or Nix or a lot of these guys, it's a great class for quarterbacks. I think if they're going to be there and you're going to go that direction, then you just got to scrap the whole thing and start from scratch anyway. And if the coaching staff is making progress, which it appears they are from last year to this year, I think anybody who thought Chicago was going to win the division or like be a playoff contender this year was probably overreaching a little bit. I mean, I had high hopes being a Bears fan. I get it, but you got to look at the progression of the team, and you want to get a few wins each year. You want to get better and better each year. And then hopefully next year and the year after, we're going to be extremely competitive. So That's the hope. That's my diagnosis so far of the season.
And there are rumblings that they may make a run at Jim Harbaugh as head coach.
I mean, great. Harbaugh seems like a decent coach. I haven't followed the sign stealing scandal at Michigan all that much.
It's just a little sign stealing. It's nothing that,
I don't know if
it's like when you would put your foot on the ropes to help you get a 1, 2, 3. It's a minor cheating thing. It's not a major,
okay.
It's not like
cheating. I mean,
not a steel chair or anything like that.
Okay. Yes. I mean, here it is what it is. I'm not sure. He's still got those guys playing at a high level. Clearly, they didn't find enough to suspend him long term or anything like that. I think the Big Ten dropped him for like 3 games or something like that, which didn't seem like a huge hiccup. And they're playing well, #1 ranked team in the nation. See what happens when they play Alabama in this BCS game. But yeah, man. I mean, it's gonna be a fun, hopefully, last few weeks of the season, and then we got the #1 pick overall, so we can trade it and move around, or we can get a huge weapon at 1 and continue to build the team.
Yeah, I feel like a team like that, if they're the first pick, it's always good to trade and build up some picks because you need multiple parts. So it's probably the best way to go is trade it, stock up.
I mean, I think you're going to be able to move in the top 5 and still get some of the weapons you want and, backload your draft as well. So I think we're in a great position to trade with Carolina. I mean, DJ Moore has been fantastic for Chicago. I think it's a huge win for us getting that pick. So hopefully we can do something good with it this year.
Switching gears, you said you were in LA right now. You said your wife, Becky, has some stuff going on in LA. She was recently on Celebrity Jeopardy. I'm just wondering, as her husband, let me start with this. Were you in the audience when she taped that?
No, I was not. I was on daddy duty that day.
Okay. I wanted to know your level of nervousness for your significant other being on Jeopardy, because I would imagine that you got to be a little nervous for your partner there when that's like such a high pressure, the button.
High pressure. Yeah, and she never watched it. She's from Ireland. She didn't have Jeopardy growing up. She didn't watch the show, So
does she get what it is here in the state? Like, it's an iconic thing here in the United States.
I think, but like not to the point of like, I mean, I don't think she fully grasps it, like, I mean, when we were younger, especially, it was just, I mean, massive. Our parents, grandparents, everybody watched it. So I don't think that scope doesn't, unless you live it, I don't think.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, she's chiming in back there.
Oh, hey, tell her to pop on and talk to me about Jeopardy if she wants.
What are you saying about Jeopardy? That's what I said. Yeah, she's never watched it before. That's what I said. She's never watched it before.
That in and of itself is fascinating. Like,
the buzzer is tricky. The way you have to answer the questions is tricky. But hey, top rated episode of the season. The repeat actually did more viewers, we found out yesterday, than the original airing of the episode. So the buzz that she got, the Celebrity Jeopardy people got to be thrilled,
So I was would you ever want to do Celebrity Jeopardy?
Absolutely.
Oh, you would? Okay, okay.
Absolutely. I would crush some bodies on Celebrity Jeopardy.
All right.
I am the king of not useless information, but I do a lot of crossword puzzles. So I know lots of weird stuff. I know lots of stuff that I got no business knowing. I think that would come quite in handy on Jeopardy. I'm pretty decent at trivia.
All right. So now if you're going to say that, then I got to ask, when you're watching her episode, are you like screaming the answers? Are you getting frustrated with her? Like, what? I want to know what it was like for you to watch her. If you're great at Jeopardy,
I didn't watch the episode. She wouldn't allow me to watch the episode.
You never watched it.
She said you can't watch the episode. No way, can't do it.
I'm in a tough spot here because I like you a lot, and I don't want to call a guest a fibber, but I find that hard to believe.
That I didn't watch the episode?
In moments alone, how do you not just go to the app, fire it up, watch it behind her back?
No, I didn't do it.
You're a good husband.
No, man, I'm a loyal man. I'm a loyal man. I wouldn't do that to her. If she didn't want me to watch something, I wouldn't watch it.
I don't know how, but see, that would make me have to watch it.
I'm sorry. I didn't do it. I've seen some of the highlights, I saw some of the highlights on social media. If that's if you want to get that, some of the things that people had tagged her in, but I never sat back and watched the whole episode.
Because she told you she didn't want you to.
She said, you don't need to watch that. Don't watch that. I said, oh, okay. All right. No doubt.
I hope you use that to get like brownie points. Like, next time there's like an argument, you say, listen, you told me not to watch it. I didn't watch it. Now you've got to compromise here. Yeah, it's 50-50.
Yeah. It's in the back pocket. It's unused. It's still there. We'll get there if we need to. But right now I slid it in. Of course.
Love it.
Of course.
Speaking of your wife, I saw. Did you guys just go to Disney for your daughter's birthday? Was that Disney World? You guys? It looked like you guys were.
We were at Disney a while ago. That was a picture from a bit ago. Like we rarely post pictures of our daughter in real time. So that was right. She made a birthday post and included a photo that we used.
Okay,
at Disney.
Because my question was going to be, you and Becky walking around Disney, can you stay incognito?
It's funny, in a big place like that, we often get like people aren't expecting to see you, so they're not even really paying attention. I mean, you get a fair share of folks coming up, asking for photos or just wanting to say hello. But I do find that because we're with our daughter, most people are super respectful about it.
That's good.
Like they'll come up and whisper or give you a little nudge, and you get some people who just like don't know how to act in public, which whatever, that's fine. Yeah. I've been accustomed to dealing with them for long enough. But yeah, I would say most people, and this gives me faith in the human race, most people see us with our 3-year-old daughter and they're pretty chill about it.
That's good. That's good. That's good. Because, it does seem like we're in a time where society is crumbling. So it's good to hear that.
There's still some hope, man. There's still some hope.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, because when I saw the photo, I'm like, oh, that's cool. They went to Disney, 3-year-old, and then I'm thinking, how like Seth Rollins is walking around on the rides. That's people have to be like, screaming out, Seth freaking Rollins at the top of that line.
Occasionally, you get one of those, and then a quick turn and a stink eye, and that usually gets people acting right. So
yeah.
I don't know how their mama raised them, but you got to be more polite than that.
Yeah. It's weird. I don't know. I know some people, they just have this. I mean, I think maybe I'm a little numb to it because I interview some famous people, but I think there are people who just, the thought of anything related to being near a celebrity just like gets them completely overwhelmed. Like, I don't even think they mean to be intrusive. No, I mean, some people do. Like, I know you guys go through hell, like with the, like the dads want you to sign stuff, right? And then they put it on eBay. That's a big thing, right?
Yeah. We get a lot of like pseudo collectors at the airports that are a little funky and a little aggressive sometimes. Again, because we have our daughter, people tend to stay away a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, they're a bit aggressive, and sometimes they'll like use their kids. They'll send their kids up with the figure to sign it, and you'll be like, "Oh, what's your name? Let me sign it to you." And they're like, you can see them like, oh no, panicking. Oh no. Yeah. So it's that's not nice. That's not a nice thing. But I do find that that's not the rule. It's more the exception. And so there's still faith in humanity to be had, man. Don't lose all hope just yet.
All right. Going back to some WWE business before we wrap it. So the next pay-per-view is not until the Royal Rumble, correct?
Yes, sir.
You have a little bit of a little gap here. I feel like all of the WWE Superstar, everybody loves the Rumble, because it's so unique. After WrestleMania, would that be your second favorite pay-per-view or whatever they're called these days, or do you have a different one? Or
yeah, I'd say the Rumble's. I mean, the Rumble's exciting. Being in the Rumble's like awful. it's such an experience, and
because why?
It's just such chaos. It's such chaos, and there's no like when you're there by yourself and it's just you and say one other person. There's a level of control that you have. Yeah. When there's 30 people coming in at regular intervals and they've all got to be responsible for whatever it is they're doing. I mean, it's just this massive jigsaw puzzle. It's truly a magic that it comes across in any like plausible way on television every year. And then we've been doing it for so long.
What's the earliest you get in? Like what number was in your career? Like have you ever been like 1, 2, 3, 4? Like
Funny. This is a great way to wrap up this conversation, actually, because the lowest number I ever had, I once started a Rumble at number 2, and number 1, CM Punk.
CM Punk. There you go. Do you
Yep,
have a favorite?
That was his last Rumble, actually, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, that'll be interesting to see you guys in the Rumble this year. That's for sure. Do you have a favorite Rumble moment from before you became a WWE superstar?
God, there's so many good ones, man. So many good ones. I mean, I think the Cena return in the Rumble was always the surprise one from his injury was pretty wild. In the Garden, I want to say, if I'm not mistaken. That one was pretty nuts. I always loved Shawn winning the Rumble, like with the 1 foot dangling, the first guy do the 1 foot instead of 2 foot. He came back in, dumped Bulldog over the top. I think Hogan won in like 91, maybe, that I really enjoyed. And those are some of the ones off the top of my head. It'd be hard for me to pick like a one Rumble moment.
The moment that for me, and you guys might not be allowed to say this, was when Vince blew out the quads.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that is every year at the Rumble, I post that clip like in my column or whatever. And it's just the fact that he stays sitting on the floor,
unbelievable,
barking out. Oh, yeah. Like there's so many layers to that is really what it is.
See, that's the chaos I'm talking about right there. That's right. What I'm saying. That's
what I thought of when you.
That's the kind of stuff that can go wrong, right? Like that's God, that's a classic one too. I forgot about that. Good, geez, bless Vince's quads.
So you got the Rumble in January, WrestleMania season. Do you get time off here with the holidays coming up? Like, you guys are notorious for never getting time off. Do you get at least a few days?
Yeah, we get a week before Christmas.
Okay,
thankfully, they're not making us do a Raw on Christmas this year. We had to do that previously. This year, we're not. So, yeah, we get a whole week, which for us is like, quite a bit. 6 days, 7 days, something like that. And then we're back at it on the 26th through New Year's, almost New Year's. Yeah, we go, to the Garden in Boston and Montreal, Toronto, and Los Angeles. So big markets that week, big shows. Ticket sales are really, really good for those right now. I'm really excited about it. Should be a great time. But yeah, that's about as much time as we get.
Yeah, I think you're here in New York. The 26th is Madison Square Garden, if I'm not mistaken.
Indeed we are.
In my neck of the woods. Well, enjoy it. Enjoy the week off. Thank you for coming on and doing this. And get along with CM Punk. Let's have no issues backstage. We don't want Seth Rollins getting in trouble. No suspensions or anything like that.
It's never going to get to that point. I mean, look, if anything goes south the way it did anywhere else, it's not ever going to get to that point. This locker room is we're a bunch of professionals for the most part over here. We're a bunch of professionals. I don't want to go too far into anything else, but it's just not going to happen over here. Like there's going to be a line drawn in the sand. Everything is going to be A-okay in WWE land. I'm feeling very good about that.
What if you like backstage and catering, you guys all eat healthy, you're piling up your grilled chicken, and he walks by and he just says, "Bears suck," and then he keeps walking. Then you got to throw it.
Then I know he's a liar because he's a Chicago guy and he can't be dogging on his own squad.
Well, that's true. He is a Chicago guy. All right. This is the last question. Give me your prediction. The Bears are 4-8. What is their record to end the season?
Oh man. Realistically, I think they're gonna win 3 out of the next 5. So whatever that puts them at. I think they're gonna do they're lose to Detroit, I think, this coming weekend. I hope not. They played Detroit really well the other week, just couldn't finish it. And then the way Green Bay's playing, like lights out, I think they're gonna have a tough time in Lambeau at the end of the year. But I do think the 3 games in the middle, I think it's like Arizona, Cleveland, and somebody else, I believe Atlanta. I think those are winnable games. So I'm going to give them those 3. I think we're going to do 3-2 to finish the season, maybe finish with 7 wins.
7-10. Not bad.
We'll see. They could surprise me. Maybe they go on a run here. You know what I mean? Maybe we get 5 straight. We make that wild card. Who knows? Just saying. It's possible. It's not out of the realm of possible. It's possible. Right?
Keep the hope until you're eliminated. You're alive. Till you're eliminated, you're alive.
No,
yeah,
it's a terrible thing.
All right, Seth, appreciate it. Thanks a lot, and be well. Enjoy the holidays.
Take care, man. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. All right, my many, many thanks to Seth Rollins. Appreciate him giving me his time and pulling back the curtain there on his issues with CM Punk. It was a big story in the WWE world, so I'm glad he got to share his insight here. This was the second SI Media podcast that was released this week. We had Booger McFarlane from ESPN on the pod earlier this week, so if you missed that, check it out. Mike Tirico from NBC was on last week. Ian Eagle was on the pod a few weeks ago. So check those out if you missed any of them in the archives, and subscribe to SI Media with Jimmy Traina. All right, that wraps it up. We'll see you next week. Stay safe and take care.